Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here. My name is Rose Zacharias. I'm a family doctor, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm standing as a candidate for the Ontario Liberal Party in Barrie-Springwater-Oro-Medonte, and I couldn't be more thrilled to talk about healthcare in Ontario. We know that nearly 3 million people in Ontario don't have a family doctor. Our emergency wait times are still too long, and access to consultants is years when it should be weeks. So it's time to take seriously our healthcare system, and Ontarians have a lot to worry about these days. Access to our publicly funded healthcare system should be a guarantee. You know, I was just in the emergency department a couple days ago, and hallway medicine is not over. I know that that was once spoken as a priority, apparently, of the Ford government. But I was there, it was midnight, and there was an older, frail gentleman that, because he did not have support in the community, there was nowhere else for him to go in the middle of the night except come to the emergency department. And so he was there with a thin gown in the hallway, and that's where he was going to stay. He was admitted to hospital, but there was nowhere else for him to go. And I walked past him. This is not right. His dignity, privacy, that was not happening for him. And a plan for the next day to possibly just be discharged to a long-term care home, I cannot count on that happening for him either. You know, this is what I know as a doctor inside the healthcare system, as someone who has been at the bedside for 20 years as a family doctor, hospital-based practice, primarily in the Emerge, and then also advocating for a healthcare system in Ontario as the president of the Ontario Medical Association, speaking for all 44,000 doctors in Ontario in 2022 and 23. This is what I know. Real leaders fix healthcare, and that's not happening right now. It's not a priority of our current government, and so we need a change in leadership at Queen's Park. I am so pleased and proud to introduce this morning the next Premier of Ontario, Bonnie Crombie. Thanks.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. Bonjour, and thank you, Dr. Rose. We are here today because Doug Ford doesn't care about you, because he's decided to spend $175 million on an early election that we don't need, rather than spending that money on getting you a family doctor, or do anything to make your life a little easier. I have 3 kids who are all young adults, and I see firsthand what their generation is facing. Young people can't find jobs. They can't afford a home. And frankly, they're missing life milestones. None of them have a family doctor. And they wonder if they'll ever be able to start a family. The sad thing is, you know what they hear from their friends? If you want to succeed, you have to leave Ontario. And that really pisses me off. So do I think we should have an election right now? No. But it is our opportunity to change the path that Ontario is on. This is Doug Ford's Ontario, and over the past 7 years, things have just gotten worse. So let's change it. I'm Bonnie Crombie, and I promise to do more for you. Thank you. And Rose and I are happy to take your questions.
Okay, thanks. Have the doctor a plan to fix the doctor shortage by the end of 2029. How is this different, and will you make it a decent plan?
I'm going to start that off if I can, but I'd like Rose to contribute as well, because as the former president of the OMA, I know she's given this a lot of thought. I will say to you, a little late and not enough. Too little, too late. Doug Ford said 7 years ago he would fix hallway medicine. It's only gotten worse. He said he'd end wait times in hospitals. They've only gotten worse. 2.5 million people don't have access to a family doctor. Soon it'll be more than over 3 million who are at risk of losing their doctor as doctors retire. Our plan will create 3,100 doctors in family medicine and team care so that everyone in Ontario will have access to a family doctor. And yes, we will present a plan. It will be costed, and it costs as much as the pre-election checks. Rose, I know you'd like to respond to this as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. I know Dr. Jane Philpott. I have a lot of respect for Dr. Jane Philpott. The fact that in December 2024, the Conservative government decided to hire Dr. Jane Philpott has nothing to do with a strategy for healthcare. Had healthcare been a priority of our current supermajority sitting government, it would have been well established in 2018. I know what it's like to practice family medicine in Ontario. And for years, Ontario's doctors have led this message loud and clear that we need more family doctors, that we need shorter wait times in the emergency department, that we need access to consultants. And that hasn't been prioritized. And so now that Dr. Jane Philpott has been invited to the Conservative team from a Liberal background, shows me that even the Conservatives are asking the Liberals to fix healthcare.
Let me just add something if I can. We're launching our tour here in Barrie because 55,000 people residing in this area don't have access to a family doctor. 55,000. It was just 2 weeks ago. We saw in the town of Walkerton 1,014 people line up in their parkas, some of them seniors with their walkers and in their wheelchairs, hoping they can register for the one new family doctor that was coming into town. There's hopes of a second one coming. The next 500 people could get access to that. Young mothers with their babies in arms, wrapping them up in a snowstorm, waited 6 hours. This is the healthcare situation in Ontario. It's horrible. It's disgusting. It should never have happened. This is Ontario. This is Doug Ford's Ontario. This is what he has created by not being on the job fixing healthcare. Does the mayor of Barrie understand that 55,000 people in his own community don't have access to health care? How does that help the situation? How does that help solve the health care? Do you know how many people are homeless? I went to tour the food bank here in Barrie. They supply food for 7,000 people each and every month. That's the reality in Ontario. Over 2 million people using a food bank. People who can't pay rent, can't buy groceries. They're using food banks. And they've certainly lost the dream of owning a home. Our schools are overcrowded. The mayor is entitled to his own opinion. Let the people decide if this is the kind of Ontario that they want, because they can choose change, and we will do more for them.
Are we hiring back unvaccinated doctors yet? Are we hiring back the unvaccinated registered doctors yet?
We will be hiring 3,100 doctors under our plan so that everyone in Ontario will have access to family medicine.
Unvaccinated ones.
Sorry,
How
folks.
is it helping?
Yes, you can't slap a label on a hat and pretend you're a leader. Real leaders fix healthcare. Real leaders work, and they are on the job, not gallivanting around the province calling unnecessary elections that will cost $175 million. That $175 million would have bought everyone here in Barrie access to a family doctor. All 55,000 people in Barrie that don't have access to a family doc.
It's getting a little windy, so if I can ask people to line up and state your name and outlet, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Good morning, man. Hamidi, Canadian Press. The PC's plan for healthcare talks about providing access for everyone to primary care. The Liberals' plan talks about giving people access to family doctors.
That's correct.
Where do you see what's the role of nurse practitioners in your Liberal plan?
I'll let you respond as well. Certainly, nurse practitioners are a key ingredient in the mix to provide family care, primary health care. We need everyone. The difference is this is something a Liberal government would address on day one, not wait till the eve of an election to create a plan, make an announcement to address the crisis in our healthcare system. The reality is they've had 7 years to fix this problem, and they waited till the day before the election to make an announcement. Dr. Rose, I can see you'd like to speak to
So
this.
access to healthcare is absolutely key, and we need teams of healthcare providers for everyone in Ontario. On that team is a family doctor. On that team is a nurse practitioner. On that team is a diabetes specialist. On that team is a mental health and addictions counselor. On that team is a navigator, so that when you're discharged from hospital, you also have someone to rely on to connect the dots for you for the complex healthcare needs. People show up in the emergency department with unmet, complex healthcare needs. Even doctors will tell you that they can't fix the entire complexity of someone's complex healthcare problem when they show up and seek care. People need access, and so doctors and nurses and all allied healthcare providers will work as a team to have people in Ontario access the publicly funded healthcare that they're already paying for and terribly don't have access to.
Dana Roberts, CTV News here in Barrie. My question is, I guess, for both of you.
Sure.
This is a traditionally blue area in terms of how voters vote. Last time the Liberals came close in the
Very
northern
close.
riding here, but you ran a star candidate with a very popular mayor, Jeff Lehman. What would you say are your chances here, Dr. Rose, and why are you choosing Barrie to launch your campaign, Leader Crombie?
Well, there are a lot of answers to that question. Number one, because I think we have a star candidate in Dr. Rose Zacharias, former president of the OMA, who is standing up for us. And yes, Jeff Lehman was also a star candidate, and of course he's busy serving as the chair of the region of Muskoka. We chose Barrie because we wanted to highlight the very difficult issue, the crisis that Ontarians are facing with a lack of access to family medicine and to health care. And the fact that there are 55,000 people right here in Barrie that don't have access to a family doc. It's the most critical issue for Ontarians. You know, while the Premier is running around the province pretending he's Captain Canada, he's not solving the basic issues that matter to Ontarians. He hasn't gotten the basics right. He's had 7 years to address our issues, access to family medicine, solving the affordability crisis, solving the overcrowded classroom crisis, but he hasn't done it. He's waited to the eve of an election to announce a plethora of policies and platform issues that he should have addressed 7 years ago. He's had 7 years. And if you want me to continue, I will say to you that he said he'd fix hallway medicine. He didn't get it done. He said he'd cut your taxes, and he didn't get it done. He said he'd build 1.5 million homes. He didn't get it done. I've looked at the homelessness, mental health, and addiction crisis that exists here in Barrie. He is not helping the situation here in Barrie on the ground or fixing the doctor's crisis. Dr. Rose, you want to get in here? Please go ahead.
This is my opportunity to stand for my constituents at Queen's Park. I've discharged people from the emergency department to no family doctor. And now I have an opportunity to speak for my patients and to speak for my colleagues inside of a healthcare system that needs fixing. We haven't had a leader that has prioritized fixing healthcare. Real leaders fix healthcare, and that's why I'm running for MPP for Barrie, because I am carrying the voice of my patients that have been unheeded and not listened to. We need a strong healthcare system. It is the backbone of a healthy economy, and everyone cares about their health. So I want our government to care about our health too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kevin Lamb, Barrie Today. Homelessness is a huge problem in Barrie. Obviously, people living on the ground in tents everywhere in the city. Mental health and drug addiction is, arguably the root cause of all that. What substantial things will be done to address this root cause to eliminate it?
Yes, you know, homelessness, mental health, and addiction crisis deserves attention on its own. Should I form government, it will have its own ministry. I've been personally affected by mental health and addiction issues, and I know it very well and acutely. The Premier's not on the job. He's abandoned his post calling an unnecessary election at a cost of $175 million so that he can cling to power and he can outrun an RCMP investigation. That's what this is all about. So yes, we have a plan to fix homelessness, mental health care, and addiction. We will design a special ministry to address it.
And lastly, ODSP, what's the plan for that? Will it be a raise in that to help people put a roof over their heads?
Yes, I have already committed to doubling the ODSP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For some people, when they're thinking about who to vote for, it's between the Liberals and the NDP. So, what would you say? Why should people vote for you over the NDP?
Well, they've also had 7 years to make a difference and make a change. They haven't gotten it done. I'm a leader with a depth that but they have a voice. They can hold this government accountable, and they haven't on the critical issues of ending hallway medicine, getting family doctors, making Ontario more affordable and building housing. I have a plan. I have a plan that will address the basic needs of Ontarians. I'm a leader with a lot of experience. As you know, I'm a different kind of Liberal. I have a business background. I've run the third largest city in Ontario for almost a decade, and I understand government and I know how to get things done. I used to win with large majorities. Thank you.
And it's cold, it's miserable, it's windy. It seems like this tent might blow over. How will campaigning in winter affect things for you? How will it be different?
Look, this Doug Ford called this election. It's in the middle of winter rather than do his job. Let's be honest, this isn't a necessary election. He's trying to cling to power, doing it at the most inconvenient time, but there is no convenient time. Let's be honest, we have to address the issues. He's running away, abdicating his responsibilities to fix the key issues facing Ontarians at a cost of $175 million so he can outrun an RCMP investigation. That's what this is all about. If he wanted to do the right thing for Ontarians, he'd be standing there at the helm, leading us, fixing the issues that matter to Ontarians, giving them primary care and access to a family doctor, fixing the affordability crisis, people not having the ability to pay their rent, buy meat, and pay their cell phone bill all in the same month. Housing. My kids, two of them got married this year. I'm so happy, but they're worried. They want to start a family. How can they afford housing? How can they buy a home? These are the issues plaguing Ontarians today. He's had 7 years to fix it. He said he'd get it done. He didn't get it done, but we will.
Logistically, like, is there a difference, different kind of considerations that you're taking into account?
I love the winter. I'm Canadian. My only grief is my mittens are in my pocket, but I'm perfectly warm. I love the winter. I'm a Canadian girl. Rose is all bundled up as well. Makes no difference to me.
Hi there, Alan Hale from the
Hi, Alan.
Trillium. So Marit Stiles is launching her campaign today, and in her speech, she's going to make the case to people who voted Liberal in the past that they should switch to the NDP because the Liberals have become more conservative under your leadership. She's gonna we got a copy of the speech, and it says that that the Liberals would fit right at home inside the PC party, and that you wouldn't be different than Doug Ford. You want to be Doug Ford. How do you respond to that, and what would you classify the Liberal political leanings under you? Are you a progressive party? Are you a centrist party? A conservative party? What are you?
I would say we're a centrist party. I think all Ontarians are centrist. I'm a strong leader. I think I've proven myself at two other levels of government. I'm very fiscally responsible, but I'm very socially progressive. And I'm here because I think I have the skill set that can solve the issues that matter to Ontarians, and that is for providing them with the basics. Doug Ford has failed to provide Ontarians the basics. He's preoccupied with booze, booze boondoggles, booze, bike lanes, big spas, and his rich buddies. He's wasted over $7 billion on scandals. $2 billion to expedite the sale of beer and wine. $2 billion given to a foreign spa at Ontario Place. $3 billion given in pre-election checks. That's $7 billion that could have gone to fixing the problems of Ontarians, hiring more family doctors, fixing the affordability crisis. If it were up to me, I would be providing tax cuts. I will cut Small business taxes, I will cut middle income earners taxes. Sorry, anyone earning $75,000 or less will see a 22% reduction. I'll lift the HST of home heating and hydro. We will provide more affordability. We will make it easier and cheaper to build homes by eliminating those hidden taxes called development charges, saving over $100,000, in some cases $170,000 on building houses, waiving land transfer tax, and fixing the landlord-tenant board. We have a plan that will address the basics. Let's get those right first.
So can we expect you to have a full slate of candidates? Are you going to go right up to the deadline next week, or is that going to be figured out in maybe the next day or
I
two?
think we're almost there right now. I think we're about 12 short. So we're almost there right now. Of course, this was a snap election. I'm not sure any party has a full slate today.
What do you make of the PCs putting up Patrick Brown's mother-in-law to run against you?
I love my city. I loved serving my city. I can't wait to put my name on that ballot and serve the riding of Mississauga East Cooksville in Mississauga once again.
Amazing. That's all for here on the ground. Does anyone on the line have a question? Going once, going twice. Not seeing any. Thank you guys so much for coming out today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming out and listening out. I think I'm going to put my mittens on now.